Sup guys, this is Elon here, and this is the first of hopefully many videos of the new segment Market Track. In this segment we're going to cover industry news. So this is really macro level stuff. This is what's happening in the big players, the one that owns everything. This is not micro. We're not going to talk about small things that are happening within like new products and what stuff. We have different segments for that. This is really high level industry news, and without further ado, let's begin. So our first topic today is Aero Trueline selling to Chamberlain Group. I'm going to refer to Aero Trueline as ATL in this conversation. So who is ATL? ATL is the largest North America garage door hardware manufacturer. Although they are the largest as far as garage door comes, they're not the largest for door hardware. The largest is Napoleon Lynx. They're both from the same city actually, and Napoleon Lynx is a very old company. And in the 50s or the 70s, a few employees from Napoleon Lynx started their own operation called Aero Trueline, and now there's a town of 5,000 people where everybody works for one of those two. Now jumping to today, or 4 years ago in 2021, a private equity called Middle Ground purchased Aero Trueline, and now brings us to today. They're selling to another private equity, Blackstone, which owns Chamberlain Group, which is gonna own Aero Trueline. Aero Trueline have 6 different manufacturing facilities and distribution centers in the United States, which is pretty good footprint. If you don't know who they are, you probably, if you're in the door industry, you have used their parts. Every single manufacturer is using something from them. Clopay and AMR being the largest, they are a little bit more vertically integrated when they have their own manufacturing for certain stuff, but there's still not a manufacturer that does it all, and they go to companies like ATL or Napoleon Lynx sourcing those parts. So again, if you haven't heard of them, I guarantee that you have used their parts before. Now here's something that I want to leave you guys with, an interesting part to it. So Blackstone owns Chamberlain Group, which now is gonna own Aero Trueline. So the largest North American garage door hardware manufacturer, the largest door opener manufacturer, and probably very soon gonna be the largest garage door company owner when they're gonna start buying companies like A1 or Guild, which I'm gonna talk about later in this video, Guild Garage Door Group. So what does that mean? Are they gonna have a monopoly? Are they gonna play the game where the LiftMaster motors give data to their, to A1 companies or Guild Garage Door Group company, or whoever else they're gonna acquire, and it's gonna give an advantage in the market to those big companies? So it's something very interesting to follow. You can't ignore that. Everything, not just in the garage door industry, everything is going to private equity. Private equity just have so much money, and they're buying every single business that has any promise to it or any success to it. I'm gonna keep track of that for you guys, and I'll share as things progress and see how things might get out of hand. Which leads me to the next topic, garage door wall button that has a cycle count. So we all know that what happens now is when a customer calls us as a service company, the spring is already broken. So what the industry is trying to go to is where when we install a new spring, the control wall button will be able to keep track of cycles. So when it hits a certain amount of cycles, you as a company, you'll get an email or a notification, so you can proactively call the customer and tell them, hey, your spring is about to expire or break. Would you like us to come and do proactive repair? Now, this has been a conversation for a long time, and I heard it many times that that's the goal. It's still not happening, but I think there's some progression on it. I've seen some articles, both from manufacturer, both from like different sources, that this is coming up soon. So stay tuned about that. Our third topic of the day is Flex Motor by AMR. So if you haven't heard, AMR is coming out with a new motor called Flex. The parent company of AMR, Assa Abloy, owns Kwikset. Kwikset is a very known name in the lock industry. They have a really big reputation. They're in Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace, hardware store, you name it, they're everywhere. So they have partnered up, AMR and Kwikset, to create a motor. Very interesting motor. It's gonna come out around November for everybody. Very excited to see it in action. There's no official pricing yet. I just heard here and there from people that it's gonna be priced at about the same point of a LiftMaster. But I wanna discuss a little bit the interesting part to it. So Kwikset is a very large company. They have an app with 23,000 good reviews. I was trying to get data on how many users they have, how many users are actively using their app, and what they use the app for is their smart lock for the front of the house. So if there is that many people using that app, I assume Kwikset is gonna push to use that motor, which probably will translate into leads for us AMR dealers. So that will be very interesting to see how that plays out, if you know, AMR will start providing actually leads to dealers from, you know, the funnel they'll create through the Kwikset brand app. Is brand loyalty gonna play an effect? And now, you know, people are starting to call AMR dealers asking for specifically that motor that integrates with existing app, which, you know, right now there's not really many leads coming in through the dealers. AMR, Clopay, they don't get many leads at all. They are residential. They might get some national accounts, but not residential. So that might be a big change for AMR, where people, you know, having Kwikset such a big brand and with a lot of users on their app, you might actually translate to some leads. So we'll stay tuned with that. Now we'll tackle another angle of this. Give you a personal story. So when we reached out to LiftMaster to buy their motors, they gave us a quote, but in the same email they said, hey, you should reach out to our preferred partners, which was AMR and Clopay in my area, to get pricing from them. They will probably be better. And yes, AMR is better priced on LiftMaster motor because of their volume and the relationship, etc. And now AMR is coming out with their own motor that directly competes with the LiftMasters. So, you know, that'll be something very interesting to see, because I'm sure LiftMaster might feel like it's a backstab of some sort. But, you know, we have to see how that plays out, how AMR is gonna advertise it. Is AMR gonna try to push it more than their LiftMasters, or, you know, that's just something that we'll have to see what's going on. And I'll share with you one more piece of information that you actually can't find it online. Is I was in an AMR event earlier this year, and those motors, it's gonna come out later, but the same trolley head will have an attachment that can turn that into a trolley. So it's the same head, the same box, with an attachment that will go as a side mount motor on your garage door. So there's not much that you can find about it online. But again, it's a very unique product that they're coming out with, and everybody should stay tuned and be on the lookout for it. And our first segment today is Guild Garage Group. So for the ones of you who don't know who they are, they're the first company that have been able to pull a private equity typical acquisition in the garage door industry. So they started their first acquisition in early 2024. And now we're about a year and a half later with 20 acquisitions. They've smoked their target. I mean, I've watched an interview of one of the owners, Jordan, and their 2028 goal was met in 2024. So they're 4 years ahead of the game. They're completely killing it. I'm not sure what they're gonna do next. I'm not sure how many more companies they have in the pipeline, but I'm pretty sure at this point, they're as big as A1 or even bigger than A1. And you know, you probably, if you haven't heard about them, you should probably Google them out, because they're a big player in the industry that came out of nowhere, and you should you'll probably hear more about them. They're gonna probably acquire some companies in your market, and then you hear about it, and they might acquire the company that you work for if your company is big enough. So they're out there and they're kicking ass. So if you haven't heard of them, you should probably Google them. They're really, from what it seems like, from the interaction that my research, it seems like it's ran pretty good. I don't have real opinions about whether it's good or bad for the industry, but all I can tell you is that you can't ignore them, and they're coming in hot. All right, guys, this concludes today's video. Hopefully you got something out of it. This is my first video on the market track segment. I'm gonna hopefully do better. If you have any ideas, any suggestion, anything that you think I said wrong, I said right, I should have said better, I take all criticism, all feedback, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.